State of the Union. Joining me right now to weigh in here in Washington, House Majority Leader, Congressman Kevin McCarthy of California. Congressman, it's good to see you.
Good to see you.
Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Looking forward to hearing the president tonight. What can we expect? What do you think will be his priorities?
Well, of course, he'll talk about where we are with tax. I hope he asks the question that Ronald Reagan asked. Are you better off today than you were before he was a president? Because just that simple question, you look lowest unemployment, you look at everyone's 401k retirement plans, you look at the tax plan, every morning we hear something new. And more than 3 million Americans have now gotten bonuses. But my favorite story is this young salon owner. She's owned it for like a decade. She's never been able to get bonuses. She gave all 12 of her employees $500 bonuses.
Wow.
One of them used it to help pay off her hospital bill for having her 4-month-old child. One fixed the only car they had so they can go. I mean, those are real stories.
They're real stories, and the windfall continues. Just a moment ago, we reported ExxonMobil says it plans to spend $50 billion expanding in the United States over the next 5 years. It said that the investment was enhanced as a result of the tax bill. This comes as House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi, however, keeps slamming the tax bill and its impact. She called the bonuses crumbs earlier this month. Listen.
The tax bill is really the dark cloud that hangs over the Capitol. They sell it as a middle-class tax cut. 86 million Americans, middle-class families, will be paying more in taxes as a result of this bill. In terms of the bonus that corporate America received versus the crumbs that they are giving to workers to kind of put the schmooze on is so pathetic.
Wow, pathetic. Your reaction?
She seems so out of touch. She's such an elitist in that process. But, you know, what does she say to, as we're sitting out here, it's a little colder, but you know the people in Baltimore are going to have their electrical bills lowered because of the tax cut. They're passing that on all across the country. So not only are people getting bonuses, not only are your electrical bills going lower, but starting this month, people are getting more in their paycheck because the withholding standards are different. So I don't know where Nancy's coming from. I don't know if she thinks $1,000 is not a big deal. But I know to my constituents, it's a very big deal.
It is a very big deal. Let me ask you, you've had a phenomenal year in terms of raising money. $20 million you raised in 2017. What do you need to do to position yourself best going into the midterm elections? Obviously, the Democrats need a plan and need a message. She's just resisting. Is that going to be the case? Is that what you're expecting going into the 2018 midterms? And what can you do other than raise more money in terms of putting the party in a better light?
Well, what Nancy's hoping on is history says the party in power, meaning the party that has the White House, on average loses 29 seats in the House, and we have 24. 2 times in modern history, that didn't come true. And really, she got all the Democrats to vote against the tax plan. She got all the Democrats to vote against the children's health insurance plan. They shut the government down. I don't know that the American public is going to celebrate this. When you look at unemployment lower, you look at the VA, we changed the GI Bill, was only for 15 years or you lose it. Now it's for a lifetime. I think we run on our record, and I think we'll do quite well. But you don't pass legislation just the idea for an election. You pass it to make the country better, and you see what she's trying to do. It's just kind of chaos. She wants to hold them hostage. We had a negotiation yesterday, a bicameral, bipartisan in my office with the White House and the Secretary of Homeland to solve this DACA issue. We want to solve it once for all. And you got to give the president credit. He put a framework out there that actually went further than anybody thought he would do, that would solve the problem once and for all, and the Democrats walked back. So who really wants to solve the problem?
They will have to answer the question why they voted against the tax plan, given the impact, and they will have to answer the question about the government shutdown. But a moment ago, we had Mick Mulvaney on, and he said, look, it's no surprise that they wanted to shut down the government exactly 1 year from the president's inauguration. That was totally timed to sort of cloud the notion that the president has all these successes. And yet, the pushback is, you guys are in charge. You've got the majority in the House, the Senate, and the presidency. So what do you say to those people who say, look, the Democrats shut the government down? Donna Brazile just came on. She said, the Democrats can't shut anything down. They're not in charge.
Well, see, that's a dirty little secret, and that's not true. Because what happens in the House, it's a simple majority. So we passed the funding bill. Democrats and Nancy Pelosi worked her members to vote no. In the Senate, it takes 60 votes. We have 51 members. It always takes the Democrats to pass anything. So why are the Democrats holding up all these appointments? Why are they holding up funding for our military men and women? Why did they vote against children's health insurance when it's going to shut down in 7 states? They don't care. They wanted the president to try to look bad. They wanted to blame him. But I think the American public are smarter than that they know how the government works, that it takes 60 votes in the Senate, and they're the ones holding it up. So once it started being called the Schumer shutdown, what did he do? He shifted. And think about, what did they open the government for? The exact same policy they shut it down over, except they shortened it for 1 week.
So what are you going to do in terms of this constant resist then? I mean, you're here talking about the next big piece of legislation possibly being an infrastructure package, right? Is that accurate, by the way?
That's accurate.
Okay. So what do you do if you don't have any help on the other side, if they just keep resisting?
Well, they didn't help us with tax reform. They didn't want to help us with the VA. They didn't want to help us with children's health. We will just keep working because it's good for the country. Look, we got an opioid crisis. It's going clear across the country. We need to solve that. An infrastructure problem. We know where our roads are, but more importantly, what should America look like 50, 100 years from now? We want to be able to expand there as well. There are a lot of areas we still have a lot of work to do. If they don't want to help us, they want to play politics, just get out of the way and let us solve the problem.
So these next couple of months are going to be all about that. You've got some Republicans firing back. The American Action Network now spending $1 million on an ad campaign targeting Pelosi's comments. Watch this.
Congress just passed historic middle-class tax cuts, saving $2,000 for middle-class families. And Nancy Pelosi calls it
the worst bill in the history of the United States Congress.
300,000 new jobs will be created.
This tax bill is Armageddon.
With bonuses and better benefits for millions, which Pelosi calls
Crumbs that they are giving to workers
Tell Nancy Pelosi she's wrong. Middle-class tax cuts are working.
is so pathetic.
We wonder how much this is going to resonate with voters. Obviously, she wants the majority.
Imagine if they got the majority, she'd be the speaker. So what would happen then? Think about where the market is today. Think about the bonuses. Think about the electrical bills being lowered. We are better off because of this Trump administration. I think people will see that at the end of the day. I think they're going to have to make a choice come November. Yeah. Do they want to go back to the old tired ways of Nancy Pelosi? Do they want more chaos? Do they want to just hijack the government, or they want to build a future for their children, something bigger and better?
Let me switch gears to another story that we've been covering a lot on this program this morning. The Republicans on the House Intelligence Committee last night voting to release a secret memo accusing senior FBI officials involved in the Russia probe of misconduct. Now, the president has 5 days to decide if this should be released. What do you think, Congressman? Should this memo see the light of day? Should the public see exactly what was written in that memo?
I believe so. I've read the memo and understand what's going on here. They've been doing their own investigation, and rightfully so. And remember what government is, a separate but co-equal branch. There's a reason why the Intel Committee was created, because you want to check and balance, especially when it comes to what's happening in the CIA, FBI, and others. They uncovered some incidences, so I believe the public should see it. They took the vote to let the members read it first. Then they went and they met with the FBI to make sure nothing in there that shouldn't be, and now they released it. The Democrats never wanted you to see this, and then Adam Schiff comes and says, well, I've got a memo. Well, the members have never read that. They haven't gone to the FBI and others to let them look at the memo and others, and he's really playing politics. He never wanted any memo to come out, and the Republicans are treating them so much better than he would ever treat anybody else. If our role is separate but co-equal, and we have a duty and a responsibility, I think the public should read this.
So the memo is basically showing us what went on at the top of the FBI in terms of abuses. I mean, we know that Deputy Director Andrew McCabe has stepped down. There's an intense amount of scrutiny around that he abruptly left his post yesterday. He faced criticism over campaign contributions for his wife's failed state Senate bid for a longtime friend to the Clintons, former Virginia Governor Terry McAuliffe. But of course, this comes as revelations come out that two top officials, Peter Strzok and Lisa Page, sent negative text messages about President Trump. Is that what is basically in this memo?
Can't talk about the memo.
Okay.
Got to let the president decide whether it could be released or not. But what really you could talk about are these texts. Think about this. You have an individual high up in the DOJ. His wife is hired by Fusion just to work on the Russian portion. He withholds that information, is in meetings. Then you have a person, not just an FBI agent, but someone who is intricately a part of investigating Hillary Clinton and in the Mueller investigation. And it was the independent counsel that found this going on between these texts, and they're giving their own personal philosophical beliefs, but they're upset that the president has won. They talk about certain things. Anybody in America should at least take those texts and say, whoa, wait a minute. These two people are in the right place, could actually influence something that goes on, and now you got all these other investigations. Did they do something to cause it?
Well, thank God for the Inspector General in terms of Michael Horowitz's work, because he's the one who came out with all of this information and these texts to indicate to us what was going on behind the scenes.
Had he not done that, he would still be working in the FBI on the Mueller investigating the president today. It wasn't Mueller who said, oh, I found something to get rid of. It was the Inspector General who found these texts. And it was very interesting how those texts that came on after the election were lost or not being able to be found, but now the DOJ could find them.
So you think that we will see those texts as well? I mean, the idea that these two were talking about an insurance policy, is the insurance policy this whole Russia probe?
You don't know, but does that not at least raise enough doubt that you want to answer that question? Look, it wasn't to me whoever won president. I want my government to be trustworthy. I want my government to be honest. I want my government to be open. So whoever did this, regardless of the outcome, I don't want people in certain high places. There are some great individuals at DOJ and the FBI. Few individuals should not taint it, but they are in a position of power to actually change the outcome.
It sounds like they abused that power.
Yes.
Congressman, it's good to see you.
Always good to see you.
Thank you so much for joining us. Majority Leader Kevin McCarthy there.